getting on a higher vibration. I think I'm getting there. But my family, they're not there. And so I've had to like...
But here's the thing. If you notice that they're not there, you're not there either.
Okay.
And that's hard because it feels like it's them not being there that is causing you to be aware of them not being there. But if you were really there, them not being there would be irrelevant to you. Sort of interesting, maybe a little comical, but not threatening and not discouraging and not worrisome.
Oh, I see. So if I'm worrying about that, then I'm not there. And
because you can't worry and be there at the same time. So what you're actually saying to people is, you know, I want to be on this high-flying disc, but I don't have the ability to be there unless you're there. So you get there and then I'll watch you and then I'll be there.
Oh,
so you have all the power in my life experience. So it's very conditional love I'm living. I need you to be this way and this way and this way. And then when I observe you, then I will have a response that will feel like this. But since I'm observing you and I'm having a response that feels like this, you need to change.
No, what I've done is distance myself from those people.
But you see, we want to give you something that will make you feel better. Law of attraction will distance you from anything that's not a vibrational match to who you are. When someone or something causes you to feel unhappy and you allow yourself to roll around in that unhappiness, you're depriving yourself of everything that you consider to be happy making in that time. That's why the stakes feel so high, and that's why that you're so mad at them, because you can feel the tug of war between where you know you are and where you want to be and where you're being as a result of this thought or this situation or this relationship. But when you realize that you have the ability to accomplish, to practice, to master alignment with who you really are, then you're not threatened. People often say, Abraham, I've really been enjoying this. I've been studying for a while. I've been meditating and I've been doing some processes and I feel so good, but those people at work are so negative. And what you're really saying is, and therefore I feel threatened. They threaten my potential happiness because of the way they are. And we say, nothing can threaten your potential happiness. You have to get to the place where you're not willing to let anything threaten your potential happiness. Stuff can happen, but you must not feel that because it's happening that you have to give it enough of your attention that you deprive yourself. So here's the way it works. Your inner being is very selective about what attention is offered. And when you're sloppy about it and just giving your attention anywhere, then often you disconnect yourself from your inner being. But it's not the fault of the subject of your attention. It's the problem of your inability to focus where you mean to. And you got to practice in order to do that, you see. Almost the whole world is running around saying, you need to be different, 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 you need to be different. And we say, it's time to accept they're not going to do it for you. They're not going to be different for you.
Right.
They were not born to be different for you. No one can be the way you need them to be in order for you to always be in the state of alignment. You've got to take this as your personal responsibility and something that's really a fun hobby.
A hobby?
A really fun hobby. What do you do for a living? This. What do you do for fun? Alignment. I do alignment. Oh, really? What kind of a hobby is that? Well, it's really a fun hobby. You can do it almost everywhere you are. Just look for positive aspects and practice them. The more you focus on them, the more that comes to you, and just get so good at it that there's so much momentum that only good things show up in your life experience. So step 3 is find that receptive mode, and step 4 is the mastery of that. It's not just the ability to focus, but the desire to feel good that is so strong that it inspires your willingness to focus. So that in the early stages of finding yourself in a conversation that you can feel is leading to a place that you don't want to go. Esther said one time many years ago to Jerry, you know, our guidance system is really a wonderful thing. But I think it would be better if every time I had a negative thought, a tooth would just fall out. Because apparently a little subtle negative emotion isn't incentive enough for me. And that's when we began saying, don't worry, it will get bigger. It will get bigger, and it will get bigger, and it will get bigger, and it will get bigger, until finally you come to the place where what you really are craving, what you really are desiring, what you really are wanting is your connection, is your happiness, is your clarity. And you're just not willing to throw it away on some discussion or memory or impossible task of getting someone to be different than they are in order for you to feel better about how they are. You just got to give everyone the freedom to be who they are choosing to be and lovingly embrace the contrast that they are living. The worst thing that you can do for yourself or against yourself is to believe that you should do something and not do it. So in some ways, you're asking for validation.
Yeah.
You're wanting to make it conditional. Well, Abraham says it's all right for me not to do that. And we don't want it to be about what anyone else thinks. Okay. And there's no right or wrong in anything. There's just alignment and not alignment. Now, if you can hear this point, you're going to find your power. Rather than polling the planet in order to try to determine what's the right or wrong behavior. And how's that working out? Rather than doing that, instead, seek alignment, which means seek the best feeling you can find right now. So it's not whether this is right or wrong, it's which thought feels better. When you find fault with someone, in the moment of your finding fault, ask yourself, even if it's reasonable, even if it's justified, ask yourself, is my finding fault right here and now, is that truly who I am, or am I leaning in opposition to who I really am? Am I pulling against my natural momentum, you see? That's what your emotions are telling you all the time. When you don't feel good, you are pulling against your natural momentum. And it's not necessarily harmful to you in the fact that the ceiling's going to fall on your head in this moment, but it's not going to lead to where you want it to lead.
It's not good for your vibration.
So rather than asking if something is right or wrong, ask yourself instead, is the path of least resistance to my alignment to do this or not do this? And sometimes, if you really want to feel good, calling your sister is the last thing in the world that you're going to want to do. The last thing right now. Because that's not going to lead to alignment. That's going to lead to the opposite. Don't make it about another person being inappropriate. Because when you make it about another person being inappropriate, now you're not in alignment. So here's the question that you ask yourself. Am I a lover or a hater? Which? Is calling my sister right now going to make me more of a lover or more of a hater? Probably more of a hater, because she's going to keep doing all that stuff that she does that I hate. So what's the path of least resistance to your love? Some distance for now. Some opportunity to deactivate all the stuff that's cluttered your understanding of who she is. The more you interact with people who are behaving in a way that makes you crazy, the less likely you are to come into vibrational harmony with who they really are. And so what's the rightness of it? The rightness is always alignment. And then alignment, and then alignment, and then alignment, and then. And down the road, you'll find yourself doing things that you said you would never do. I will never call her again. I will never see her again. I will never speak to her again. And you'll find yourself doing it and loving it, regardless of what her response to it is, you see.